What does the Trump administration mean for high-ticket dropshippers? Well, let's talk about it in this video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you are new, subscribe for daily high-ticket dropshipping content. When this video comes out, this will be the final day that you are able to get high-ticket masterclass at the current price before the new course comes out tomorrow. So if you get the current course at the current price, the link is in the description below. And this is for anybody that is serious about building a high ticket drop shipping business in 2025. If you get the current course at the current price, you'll be grandfathered into the new course, which comes out tomorrow at no additional cost, and that price will go up once it goes live. So if you want to save some money and you are serious about building a high ticket drop shipping business in 2025, I would say this is kind of the last chance to save some money before that price does go up. So, what does Trump being back in office mean for high ticket dropshippers? I think this is a pretty complex topic, and I want to be clear. I'm not a political commentator. I want to remain as politically homeless and agnostic in this discussion as possible. I just kind of want to look at everything that's happening from the perspective of an online business owner, specifically a high ticket dropshipper. Well, I think the most relevant thing to kind of consider and focus on is tariffs. Um, it's no secret if you have been following the news the last few months, especially leading up to the election and after the inauguration now. It's clear Trump is not holding back on following through on a lot of the things that he said he was going to do, which also includes some pretty aggressive tactics with tariffs. And I think what is most relevant to consider here is if you are importing products from Canada into the United States. So let's say you have a Canadian-based company or you have Canadian-based suppliers that are and so you're selling their products into the United States. That's one thing to consider. But then the other thing to consider is if maybe you're doing low ticket drop shipping right now, or you're doing high ticket drop shipping, but all of your suppliers are Chinese, or some of your suppliers are Chinese. Well, the current proposed tariff on Chinese imported goods is 10%. And they're also considering doing away with the de minimis rule, which says anything under $800, this does not apply to. But the administration is strongly considering doing away with this, which would mean even if you're doing low ticket drop shipping, you would have to absorb that new cost, or you would have to charge a higher dollar amount for your products to make up for this added tariff on imported goods. And then with Mexico and Canada, I would say Mexico isn't quite as prevalent when it comes to suppliers in high ticket drop shipping. But Canada certainly is. There are plenty of companies in Vancouver, Toronto, Quebec, plenty of suppliers that import into the United States that I have either worked with in the past, or I have current people in my program that are in Canada or in the US working with Canadian suppliers and also selling into the United States. And it's the same deal the way that the math works out. You're kind of either forced to just adjust your prices to where you can make up for that additional cost. But the problem with that is that whatever niche you are in, you're going to become a lot less attractive to your competitors or other brands that you might be carrying, U.S. based suppliers specifically, because they manufacture their products in the United States and they don't have to deal with tariffs. And so that's either option A is adjusting the prices, or option B is absorbing the cost, or at least some of that cost, which would obviously eat significantly into your margins. So, what do you do to combat against this or to safeguard against this? Well, I think what makes the most sense to do, let's assume that you are selling in the United States. That is your market. The United States is your market. Um, I'm not as concerned about, let's say, UK based or European based high ticket drop shippers. I think that's kind of a different conversation. But let's talk about specifically the United States market. I think the only answer is to diversify your supplier base into US based suppliers at the end of the day. Um, and that obviously takes research. But I think regardless of the current tariffs policy or the proposed tariffs policy, it makes a lot of sense to uh, ship and sell within the country where your product is manufactured, because that's the only way to really get really meaningful margins. Unless you're importing really cheap products from China, which a lot of people into doing. That's kind of a whole nother conversation in and of itself, and I will make a video about that at some point about why I think that is just a bad idea. Um, but I think a really logical thing to be considering here and to be doing is, if your market is in the United States, and you're either doing low ticket drop shipping right now and you're using Chinese based suppliers, or you're a Canadian based registered business and you're using Canadian suppliers, but you want to expand into the United States, or you're already selling into the United States. I think now is the time to really start considering, well, maybe I should register my business in the United States if it isn't already, and get US based suppliers and only sell within the United States. I think just that's, if I was in your shoes, that is something that I would really strongly consider. So I think the most compelling point here is, like, this is a really good time to consider domestic high ticket drop shipping, especially if you have traditionally done low ticket or some sort of drop shipping where you're importing from China, especially. It's super common, but I'm telling you, the smart way to go about this is to partner with US based suppliers, US based companies, US based established brands. Um, and again, regardless of the tariff situation, this is already a smart thing to do with the margins and with the brand recognition and the fact that people living in the United States like to buy things that are made in America. And I think part of that sentiment was reflected in just how large the margin was in this last election result. That's a small part of it, but it certainly is a reflection of that kind of attitude. So, um, I don't want to make this a super long-winded video. I think I'll continue to make videos about this topic just as more things actually get implemented with this new administration. We're only a couple weeks into this thing, and it feels like things are happening at a million miles an hour. So as a business owner, it's smart to stay on top of this. It's smart to pay attention to it. And I'll give my 2 cents. I'm not an economist. I'm not a political commentator. All I can do is sit here and watch as a business owner and think, what is maybe the smartest thing for me to do? And I'll give my 2 cents on that. So if you guys have suggestions or questions or things that I left out, or whatever you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments. Again, if you are serious about building a high ticket dropshipping business and you want some guidance doing it in 2025, the last day at the current price is today as you're watching this. The link is in the description below, and High Ticket Masterclass 2.0 will be released the following day. So if you haven't subscribed for daily high ticket dropshipping content, hit the like button, notification bell. All of this helps me out tremendously. And it helps me meet really cool people like all of you that are just interested in e-commerce and entrepreneurship. So without further ado, I'll end that there. We'll see you guys tomorrow.